Awesome. All right. So again, this is our session 2 of the Salesforce training. In the previous session, what we did is we started off understanding the basic concepts in Salesforce, and we talked about what is Salesforce and how we can actually start it in terms of signing up into Salesforce. We did talk about a little bit of overview of Salesforce. How does it look like? There are the main ingredients of the Salesforce. Are just a quick recap is we have these different apps, and these apps are also sometimes referred as clouds. So for example, here you have a service app, but in reality, it is also known as Service Cloud. There's a marketing, again, this is like an app, but outside, it is also referred as Marketing Cloud. And some of these cloud sales, service, marketing, these all have separate licensing systems. So if you are actually go to Salesforce and try to buy a license, and each of them have different pricing. Right now, the one that you are using is development version, which is obviously just for the training and understanding. So this is like a free version, but again, this is not for commercial use. It has a very limited data that you can input. After that, obviously, it's not gonna take more than that. So it's usually used for practice purposes and understanding and training purposes. That's why you can see multiple of these apps are available. Community is also a separate cloud, marketing, sales, service. So all of these are basically treated as separate clouds. So this we talked about a little bit, and then we also talked about that when you are building your own application, let's say you buy a sales cloud or service cloud or multiple of those clouds, and you want to kind of integrate together and maybe create your own workflow the way that you want. Instead of using the workflow provided by the sales, you can also able to create your own application where you can use some of the objects which are already available, and you can create your own object. So we did talk about a little bit what is standard and custom, and I'll show you a little bit more. But there are standard apps which are sales, service, marketing, and then anything that you are creating for your own organization. Like here we have two apps called Unboxx Properties or Unboxx Learning app. These are the custom apps which I have created for the respective organizations. Within these applications, once you go in, you have different tabs, and each of these tabs are nothing but an object. Each object is almost a replica of something that you might have done in Excel. So I kind of give you a relationship between how Excel is kind of a replica of an app. So anything which is like a data modeling, for example, is the name of the app as an example. Then you have different tabs, and each tab is basically containing a particular type of information. So the information which is kind of related together, which has a particular meaning, you kind of group together and create a particular tab. In this case, we can represent as an object. So within the object, you can have multiple fields. Again, very similar concept that you have different fields in an Excel sheet. The example of these are something like a property number, the name of the person who is buying it, the address of the property, asking price, and phone number. Another object as an example is the offer. Somebody is about to buy a house and he wants to put an offer. So we just define a couple of generic generic fields like what is the name of the buyer, what is the offer amount he's offering for the house, or what is the address of his house, and then cell number, and then a couple of other fields if you want to introduce. So this is something that on a very high level we discussed. Then we also discussed how you can actually create those apps, objects, and fields. So very quickly, one thing I mentioned that the main area that you'll be working a lot will be this setup. So usually you can go to this setup icon and then click on the setup. It will launch you a separate tab, and this is the area where you are making most of the changes, if not all. And then you will be spending a lot of time in this area, so make sure you can get yourself familiarized with this area. So this area has two main tabs. So the first one, which by default it launches onto the home, and in the home you will see all of these different options on the left hand side. The way you need to work is by default it is set up on the setup home page, and whatever information you're looking at it right now on the right hand side, it belongs to the setup home page. And if you scroll down, then you can able to see a lot of different other options that we will work on. The other tab on the top is called Object Manager. Object Manager is something which is used to manage and create new objects. Again, because it is used so much that they have actually put it as a shortcut here, so that you can quickly able to launch it. However, if you want to access anything else apart from Object Manager, you have this quick find box. And let's say if you're looking to go straight to the data, instead of going to the data, you can directly just search anything and it will basically filter you out. So if you want to go to the data export or data integration or any other data.com, and so it will basically highlight that. So here, what we basically discuss, if you want to start with the app uh, creation, you can go to App Manager, and it is kind of similar than the Object Manager, but if you click over here, you are right now at the home, and then it basically launch you the App Manager. So right now the setting it works is basically you are under home and then you are accessing different applications, and this is the area which opens up for that. Here, if you want to create a new app, this is there are two options. New Lightning app is the one that we are creating. Connected app is something that we will probably use in future or advanced versions, where if you need to create an app where you are connecting to a third party or outside system, you can also create that. Here, if you want to create a new app, you can just click on the new Lightning app. You can provide the name here. You can upload the different logos and change some colors. You can put some developer name, description. So a lot of other nice stuff is available. We go to the next ones. Here you can put some basic settings. I'm gonna just skip them for now. Same thing here, some utility bars that you can add. And then here is something important. So here, usually if you already have created the objects, this is the location where you can add them. But for example, if you're starting from creating the app, obviously there is no other object that you have created. So I'm just going to add the home tab. Anything that you moved on the right hand side under selected item will show up in the app itself. So right now we have not created any objects, so we go ahead and do that. And then here, this is called profiles. So this is something anybody who can see those, and profile just for now consider that who can have access. So every individual person will have a specific profile assigned to them. For example, right now, the user that I'm using has a profile called System Administrator. So if I want to search that, System Administrator will come up and I can move it over on the right-hand side. Let's say if I'm using there's another test user that you can create, and you can also want to give access for this application to them, and that profile is using marketing profile. So you can use marketing user and you can add that. So this is how you can selectively start adding the different profiles. So I will, there's a full section regarding the profiles and what profiles are and who needs to do that. And that's basically will be covered in the Salesforce security section. But right now, just for the basic understanding, think of profile as like a group of different type of access which put together, and that profile can be assigned to number of people. So for example, anybody who's working in a sales department or marketing department, we can, for example, create a profile called marketing user profile, and then we can assign that profile to everybody. System admin, obviously there will be only one or maybe two system admin, so we will assign this profile only to somebody who's system admin. So this is how you can do that. In our case, just to make it easy, what we will do, either you can go ahead and select system admin and move it on the right hand side, or if you just want to add all of them, you can also select all of them and move it to the right hand side, just so that you can get an idea that there are different ways you can move that. Again, the main purpose right now is that you have at least this guy system administrator on the right hand side. In that way, you can able to see that application. If, for example, I can give you scenarios which is very common occurrence, that for example, let's say on this particular step, I just move past this and do not select any profile. What will happen as a result? That the application that you have created is not visible by anybody because you did not add any profile in there. I mean, the application will be still there, object will be still there, but it's just nobody can able to see that. So if you go through that kind of a problem, or if you're troubleshooting to see, okay, I have created the application, I have not able to see it, or if you have two users and you are trying to switch between the two users and you're not able to see that, this could be one of the areas that you need to come back and make sure that, okay, let's say if you're using the system admin profile, you can go ahead and add that profile and basically save and finish. Once you do that, you have actually created a new application. So that was a quick recap of application. The second thing we discussed about the object manager. Object, as I said, is something very similar to what we have here, is different type of tabs. So how do you create that? You can go again here to object manager directly. You want to create a new object. Again, if you want to create multiple objects in a single go, again, that is something you can look into more advanced sessions once you're very comfortable with that. But for now, we can just start with a single object. Same thing here, you can provide the name of the object that you want to create. There are a couple of settings, they're pretty much self-explanatory. The main thing for that is there is a field, enter record name, label, and format. So this is the most critical field because this is kind of a representative of that particular object. So here there are two options. Either you can create an auto number or you can create a text field. So just to relate with this one, with our example, so for example, we have property. What is the main key identifier field of the property? Is the property number. In this case, property number means that this is basically an auto generated number. So we don't, obviously, if it is number, we don't want to generate it on our own, because if, let's say, three people, three different teams are working on that, you don't want to create, and because you don't know what is the number going on at the moment, so you don't want to go back and check. So you create something called auto number, meaning that anytime that you create a new record, automatically the record number will be updated based on the previous number. So you don't need to create that. In this example, we have auto number. In the other example, which is offer, we have a name of the buyer. So here, if we go back, when you're creating the object, this is the key field that you need to decide. Again, it's totally up to your client and you, and basically how you are kind of designing your database model, is what type of this identifier is. So either it can be text identifier or it could be auto number. So let's say if you want to create an auto number, it's a very straightforward. You can just define the format. So here is the format example, a dash curly brackets, and then you can define the number of how long you think your will go. Right now here, as an example, they selected 4 zeros, meaning they might be expecting numbers in thousands, right? If it is more than thousand, hundreds of thousand, you can increase more zeros, that's fine. So the format for that is, for example, if we, in our case, we want to say property as a short form dash and then curly bracket, and then we want to say 3 or 4 zeros, whatever we want, we can close them. So this is the format. So once the first record will be created, it will be property dash 0001 0002, and it will automatically be created as soon as you create a new record. A starting number, again, if you want to start from 0 or 1, it's just a starting number that they want to have, and that's it. In case if you do not want to select auto number, you want to select a text, just select the text, and then it will help you to able to create so the text number. So I can give you example. So if I go to the Unboxx properties, this is using what we call as here, what we call as the auto number. So if I do that, if I create a new record, if I create a new record, see here, property number doesn't allow me to input anything, but automatically as soon as I create the record, it will basically show me the number. So here I can show you some examples. So here, all these numbers, for example, if I open up the first record, property number, property 001, it is automatically created. Same thing, if I go to another record, it will be property 002. So this one is automatically generated by the system. I only provided property dash curly bracket 001 over here, like this, the example that I showed, property 0001, and then it will automatically create it. In the second example, I have used text. So the text version will look something like this. If I go to the next object, here if I create a new one, it will ask me for a buyer name. So very easy, straightforward. You can just provide the name of the buyer, and here you can see that it is showing the name of the buyers like this, and you can able to create your record. So this is one key area that I would like to mention, because this is almost more like a representation or the main field of that particular object. This is how your object will be identified. All right. And once you have that, you can create that object. After creating the object, sometimes what will happen is you won't able to see the object on that particular application. So what you need to do, go back to home, and you need to basically create a tab for that particular object. And this is something, a very common occurrence in the beginning, that you might create the object and then you forget about the tab part. Is just basically to convert that object into something which can be available as a tab. So this is called tab. Unboxx property, this thing which is I'm highlighting, this is called tab. So sometime if you do not create a tab, it will not appear in the app in order to for you to add the object. So here creating tab is pretty straightforward. Just click new, and right now I don't have any other object which is do not have a tab. But if you have one, you can just select that, select any color, and that's it. And you can able to just create a quick tab, and that's it. And here also it will allow you to, again, I don't have any available, but if you go to the next one, it will also allow you to pick up that which application you want to create this tab for. So once you do that, it will be appear, for example, if you select Unboxx property, it will be coming up as a new app, as an Unboxx property here on Unboxx offer. So these are two tabs, and this is the actual application. All right, so with that, this was like a quick recap of what we have discussed. So this new session, what we are going to start from session 2, some of the topics that we are continuing. So what we are learning so far is basically, it's come under the main section of data modeling. So again, in the last one, I did not really introduce the term because we were just kind of defining that, okay, we are creating the application, we are also creating the fields, the objects and everything. But basically now coming back to that, what basically it is a data modeling of your data. So how are you creating your data? What are the different objects that you're creating, and what is the relationship between the different objects? So today we are actually jumping into a very, very critical item where we will establish that how you can create the relationship between the data. So there are two main types of relationship which I'm going to talk about in a reverse order. So first I'll kind of explain you the utility of why do we need relationships, and then we can kind of just give them the name, what kind of relationship is that. So as an example, think about these two objects that we already discussed. So just think about it in terms of, on a very regular layman terminology, that for example, if there's a property which is in the market, so there's a property number, this is the person who is selling it, the address of the property which is being sold, asking price, and phone number. So this basically all the information about the property. So this one line is representing one particular property, second line is representing another second property, third line is representing a third separate property. Then we have another object where we have individuals who are interested in buying a property. And for example, the first line again represent a person, Tom Hanks, who is looking to buy a property. His budget or approval is $490,000. Where the address, this is not the property as it, this is the one where he lives, so that we have the information about him and his cell phone number. And then same thing, here's another person, here person. So between these two, if you notice, there's something missing. Like for example, if I say Tom Hanks is interested in buying a property and he wants to put, what is that missing link? Let's say if he wants to put that against the properties which we have available. So right now it is showing that he's interested, this is the offer, but against what property? So we need to kind of somehow select that which property he's interested in, isn't it? So here we are basically missing a one field. So for example, here we can say that property. Okay, so this is the field where we can input the property, that what property, which of the three property he wants to put the offer for. So for example, he wants to, let's say the closest property that probably he can put his offer is the property number 1. Okay, so let's say I would like to select this property number 1 here, and I can put in front of it. Okay, so one thing is I can manually input that, but then it in the database there is no relationship. So what will happen is, again, if you can, for example, if I make a mistake and I put like a space here, then I cannot really come back and search for the same property, and they're not kind of connected together. So what will happen is, basically, instead of this as a free field, like a free access field is something like where you can input any value, like for example, when you're creating the new name, you can put that. We need to connect these together. So we need to connect this record with this record in the database, so that you can actually able to have like a drop down or drop down where you can able to see all the properties or if you know that what property are there, so you can directly pick the property from there. So you can have some sort of relationship between the property and the offer, so you can directly connect that. In that way, let's say, for example, for the same property, there are the other for example, another person, Julia, also wants to bid for that property. You can able to connect that. So right now what we are saying, that one property can be connected to multiple buyers. Okay. um, so this is something called a relationship where you have one to many, meaning you have one property, and let's say against the one property, many buyers are interested in buying and they're bidding their offer, which is a very common scenario. So this is called one to many relationship. Okay. So again, let's complete the whole thing, and then I can open up the forum just for the questions. But right now, just think about it, and then let me give you a couple of more examples before we go into that. So some of the other examples of one-to-many relationship could be, let's take a quick pause and move to, um, open up another one. Okay, so one-to-many relationship can also be understood from a very basic concept of, let's say, Apple company. So Apple is creating different products. So one company, which is Apple, and you can have many products like phones, laptops, and tablets. So this is one, and this is many. Now, each of them can only be represented by Apple. So it is not possible that you have iPhone 10 and it belongs to Samsung, right? It can only belong to Apple. So this is called one to many. Here also, for example, if you have an account, let's say Bank of America, and then four different people are working in the Bank of America, they can have many people work for Bank of America, but anybody who is employer of a Bank of America, provided that, let's say you are working full-time, you cannot have two jobs. In that case, all of those four people or multiple people, maybe as many number of people can be there, but there is only one employer or one account. So these are the examples of one-to-many relationship where you have many um, contacts but single account. Another example from day-to-day perspective is your parents. If you think about parents as a single entity, parents and then children. So you can have one parent and then you can have many children. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and multiple children, but they all are kind of coming back to a single source, which is parent. So this relationship where you have one to many, this is called, this is the simplest form of relationship where you can have one source. In this example, you can always remember this like an Apple, and then you can have many different type of products, and all of them can only belong to Apple but cannot to other, but they can have different type of options. So this is the first type of relationship called one to many. And within one to many, there are two types of relationships. So within that, you can have a very tightly bonded relationship, or you can have a little bit relaxed relationship. So what does that really mean is basically there are a few conditions for that. So I can show you the conditions. So for example, master detail. Again, these are more technical details. I'll come back to that a little bit once I give you some idea. So here you have Apple, you have different phones, here you have account and different things. Let's get back to our example here and see that here you have one property. Let's take this example and see how we can basically map it so that you can understand. So let's consider this property, and let's say all three of them would like to offer against this property. Okay, so what kind of relationship you have here? You have one property, so you have one, and here on this side you have many other properties. So this is called one to many relationship. So one house, three offers, and then each of them, let's consider that they can only offer to one house. So this is how they are offering, and they are all part of that. Now, in this case, there are two options that you can build. One is called master detail, and another is called lookup. So if I go back to my here, so here you have two different options. You can have master detail or lookup, and this is just to create you a little bit flexibility. So in one case, for example, if you want to have a relationship where, if you want to have a very tightly bonded relationship where you cannot if you cannot create a child object without a parent object, that kind of a very tightly bonded relationship is called master detail relationship. And the one where you can create a child record without even a master record, and later on you can create the master, that is called lookup. Again, we can understand that a little bit better. But here is basically a very simple way that you want to connect these two tables through a link. And we are saying that there's a relationship called one to many. Within one to many, there are two options. One is master detail and lookup. Master detail is a very tightly bound, lookup is a loosely bound. When we say master detail tightly bound, meaning, for example, if I remove this property, for example, if I remove the property one, master detail, what it does is basically it will also remove these three records. Okay, just to keep that in mind. If you want to create a loosely bounded, meaning that if they are the same relationship with these three objects, and if I want to remove the parent, this is the parent object, and they are bounded with the lookup. If I remove this, these three will stay there. So we will see that as an example, and then it will clear up the idea. So let's start with the lookup relationship, how to create it, how to link these two together, and then you can get a really good idea. So how to create the lookup relationship? Again, one more thing before we move forward, in order to create the relationship, is there is between the two objects, there is one object who is parent and one object is a child. Can anybody can tell me which object do you think will be a parent object and which object should be a child object? You guys can unmute if you want to answer. Anyone? Okay, so Mansoor is saying property is the parent object. Okay, so and then offer is the child object. Anybody can tell me why? Why can the offer be the parent object?
Because there is one property and there are more offers. So I think that's why offer can be the child object. That's what we just learned.
Absolutely. So very good. Just to keep that keep that in your understanding, that like the similar relationship that you have from parent to child or Apple company with the product, same thing is the source, which is single, is always the parent. Same thing when we say parent, we are considering them as a single entity. So single parent, multiple child, single company Apple, multiple iPhones or multiple iPads or whatever. So single one. So whoever is a single is basically considered as the parent, and the one which is considered which has multiple options, they will consider it as a child. So many is basically as a child, and then the single is basically a parent. So hopefully everybody understand that. Now let's say we want to create a relationship between parent and child. So my basically query here is, okay, can you please create a master detail, or let's say we start with lookup, okay? And we just defined that what is lookup. Lookup is something which is very loosely bounded, okay? And the master detail is something which is very tightly bounded, okay? Meaning, I just give you an example that if you delete the parent, the child also delete it. Right there, you understand that this is master detail. Okay, this is this option. If you delete parent and child are not deleted, meaning this is a loosely coupled, this is called lookup. I will explain later on where you can use the lookup and where you can use the master detail, but these are two different options. So based on your requirement, you can use either master detail or lookup. But just for understanding, keep in mind that if it is tightly bounded, where you delete the master or parent, the child are deleted, this is master detail. And if you want to create a relationship where you need a flexibility that, okay, even if you delete the master, the child were not deleted, that is called lookup. Now we need to, let's say, pick up we need to start creating a lookup relationship. Based on this configuration, can anybody tell me that which object should I go in order to create the relationship? Where should I need that relationship? Do I need the relationship in the parent object? this is the parent object and this is a child object, and any reason why? Okay, so I got a couple of answers that I need to go to the parent object in order to create. Is that the right answer, or am I reading the old answer? Parent object. Okay. So Muhammad is saying parent object. Anybody else can, you guys can unmute and also answer. It might be more interactive. That when you're saying that I need to create a master detail, and just imagine that master detail relationship is very similar to how you created a regular field, right? So that is also a field. Is just a relationship field, right? Because you want to connect these two objects together so that different fields that you are creating can be related with each other. So it's just considered that as a very similar way how you create a regular field is just called a relationship field. So based on that, if you want to create a field, um, where do you guys, or somebody has just mentioned that we can create the field, the relationship field on the property. Anybody else has any other opinions? Okay. Mansoor is saying we are missing the field, but I'm just trying to say I just put it there just to give you a clue, which is right, and absolutely you correct, you collect the right clue. But what is the reason? Why do you need a field over here rather than in property? Can somebody give me with a real life example that where should you need that field and why?
In the child table.
Okay, and why? Why do you need in the child object?
uh, because to establish the relationship between the parent table and the child table, there should be some primary key.
Exactly. So here, for example, right now, again, I just put that here just to give you a clue, but this is the very right answer that let's say, for example, this person wants to bid for a property, right? So let's say he wants to bid for a property number one, right? So somehow I need a field which is available on my child object in kind of a shape of a drop down where I can see all the properties and I can select property number one. For example, number two is also, let's say, want to select the same property or maybe property number two. The third one wants to bid again property number one. So where do I need property here? Now here also somebody can, argue with me that can you also create a field over here rather than over there and then basically connect it? So what is the problem of creating the relationship field on the parent object?
Because there can be multiple entries for the same property in the child
In
table.
the child object, correct, not in the parent object. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Anybody who is not clear? Okay. So hopefully, and even again, if you are not 100% clear, that's fine. Once we go through it, you will get better understanding once we actually create it. But just to give you an idea, that first thing that we learn is we have two tables where we need to create a relationship. Then the second part, we understand the first type of relationship is one to many. So it means that one of these two objects, we need to understand which one is parent object and which one is the child object. So we understand that the property can have one property, and we know that one property against one property, many people can bid. And then whatever the highest bid is there, then the owner of the house can accept it, which is a very normal process. So we understood that this is one and we could have many offers. So in that scenario, we understood that the property should be the parent object, and then offer is obviously the child object because it has many objects. Now the third thing that we understood is, now we understood this is the parent, this is the child. The third thing we understood, within the one to many, which is in this case, you can have only one parent and multiple child, we can have two types of relationship. One is really strongly bonded, which is master detail. So just think about master detail as a very strongly like a parent child relationship where you cannot really break it. In that relationship, if you remove the parent record, not the object, parent record. The child record, let's say this one and this one is related to first one. So second line and fourth line will be deleted. That type of relationship is called master detail, which is very tightly bounded. Now let's say we have a request where we should want to, or we can delete the parent record, but we don't want the child record to be deleted. That kind of relationship is called lookup, which is like a loosely bounded. So far we understood all that. Now the final question is, okay, we good, we understand. Let's say we want to start building a lightly or loosely bounded relationship as a lookup. Now where should I create that field? So that is the final thing. We basically establish that when you are putting an offer, you need to know which object you want to put an offer against. So for example, the first record comes up, Tom Hanks comes up, he said, I want to bid against a house, and probably your first question is against which property, right? So you need an field here which can reflect the property, but this is no ordinary field, because this is not a free or text field. This is a field which is actually belongs to one of these objects. So we need to create a relationship so we can pick the we can basically bring in the fields which are available and do not create a new fields as a free or entry fields. Okay, so hopefully everybody understands that. Let's go ahead and create that, and then we can come back and revisit one more time. So the first step would be, what we need to do is, in order to create that field, first of all, I need to go to the object, and I'll try to keep that in focus so you can remember. So first we need to, whenever we need to create the relationship, we will go to the child object. In this case, this is an offer object. So where do I need to go? I need to go my offer object. Okay, once I go to the offer object, again same thing, there are many different options on my on my left hand side. Here we need to go fields and relationship, because we need to create a new field. But what kind of field we are creating this time? A relationship field. So we want to create a new field, and again we just mentioned that there could be two types of fields. So basically there are two types of lookup and master detail. So let's say we want to start, or we want to create a lookup relationship between two. We select the lookup and then we move forward. So here now it is asking that it is related to, choose the related object, select the object to which this object is related. Okay, so here we know that we have Unboxx property offer that we need to relate. So we select from the drop down, we go to the next one, and here it will just show the same name. You just reselect it. So again, just a difference between the field label. Again, this is something that you need to understand, that what is the difference between the label and the name. So label is something that is used for the users, right? When I say users, meaning what do you see over here? So you see Unboxx underscore properties, Unboxx underscore offer. So there's a space between here, there's a caps, a small. So this is just a label, is something that your users who are using the application see on the front UI of thing. And the field name is something that you normally should not have any spaces or anything, because system will be using it. So here is a quick application as well, that the field name is an internal reference and is used for internal purposes such as custom links, custom as controls, and the API. Be careful when changing the field name, as it may affect the existing integration. So when you are actually doing some sort of internal API connections and things, so you cannot use the label, because label may have spaces or things like that. So that's where you need to use the field name. So here you see that automatically it will add an underscore, so there's no space for the whole name of the field. So this is nothing here. You can add any description or a help desk. Just a second. Okay, so here you can add the tags and everything. So here you can go next. And then here again, this is the new relationship. And here the step states establish a field level security reference. So again, this is something we will learn in the future session. So right now I'm just going to skip that, but this is something to do with the security part of the Salesforce, which we'll learn in our upcoming sessions. And that's it. Basically, it is saying that it will create a new page layout, which is fine. No need to worry about it. And here it is just saving it. So we can say, go ahead and save it. Okay, so that's it. Now, if I go back to my field, there should be a new field now available, which is called Unboxx property. But keep in mind that Unboxx property is not like a text field or an input field where you can put anything as a text, as a free text or as a free numeric. It's basically something that you are taking from any information that you already provided in the Unboxx property. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see actually how does it look like. So we have here property 1, 2, and 3. Here is the Unboxx offer. So let me go ahead and create a new record. Before that, let me refresh that, and just keep in mind anytime you're creating a new field or making any changes, sometimes it doesn't come up right away. It might take like a 1 or 2 refreshes, or sometime if it is something very, very fundamental, you may need to log out, log back in, because again, it's a cloud based, everything is launching on the cloud. So it might take some time. I mean, should be very quick. Like in this case, just 2 refreshes will do it. But just in case, if it is not doing it, don't get impatient. Just give it few tries. And in the worst case scenario, just log out, log back in, and it should able to make the changes unless there is some error message. But before thinking that you have done some mistake, also give it enough time so that you can able to understand. So here you have that field available, but before that, let's say I want to start with the buyer name. Let's say I want to give an offer here, 589,000, address, cell number. So here is this new field, right? So this is a related field, and you can see all the 3 properties are now showing up that were added over here. So you can start adding more properties into Unboxx properties, and they will start showing up. Or if they don't show up sometime, you can just put the property number, and that will also come up for your review. So for example, I want to associate this one with the property 1. So let's go ahead and do that, save. And now this property is associated with the property 1. Okay. Now let me go ahead and do one more thing, is I can actually edit the existing record with some property. So for example, this record that Cynthia, you see the Unboxx properties there, but this is not associated with any record. So I can edit this record. I can click edit, and I can same thing go into Unboxx property. And again, I'm going to associate because I want to 2 people, 2 offers for the property number 1. So I select this one and I save it. So basically, if you remember, we have 3 properties, 2 properties I basically put against the property 1. So let's go back to property 1 and see how does it look like. So property 1, and you see, let me give a quick introduction about the 2 tabs here. So detailed tab, as it states, basically it's provide you all the information about the property name, the number, and everything. But there is another one called related. So if I go to the related one, you see these 2 related offers that start showing up, right? So this is really good. So now, without doing anything in the Salesforce, the way it is created, anything which is related to the master, it will start showing up in the master. However, when we created a field on the child object, and basically we connected the parent object. Okay. So let's,
Zara, मैं नाश्ता भी लगा रही तुम्हारा. Go.
Can you go back on a mute?
Zara? Zara? Stop acting like Fatma. No. Yeah. Okay, but खा लो फिर I won't bother you. Come on, go.
Okay. All right. No worries. So basically, okay, so let me take a pause here and see if it is clear to everybody that how did we use the child object first, create a new field, this one, kind of a connected. Right now we use lookup relationship, and I will show you the difference between the lookup and master detail, but we can create the lookup relationship. And once we go to the parent record, if we go to the related, we can able to see the child records which are associated with that. So is this clear to everybody, or if you have any doubts, let me know.
Yes.
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, anybody has any doubts?
But in case of master detail relation and all, right, first we have to create the parent table, then only we can.
Okay, I'll explain that in a bit, but what is the difference? Like, let's say, so right now we created the lookup. So it has some less limitations. I'll tell you the limitations for master detail, but is it clear overall that, let's say, if you're creating from scratch? So right now I had created some records, right? So it looks like We don't have any question. Everybody's clear. Okay, very good. So now let me give you a couple of scenarios that you will basically get when you are creating these. So number one scenario is, let's say, okay. So let's say if you are creating the master detail or lookup after you already have the records in the database. Okay, so like in my case, I had 3 records here, I have a couple of records here. So what will happen is you cannot create the master detail relationship if you already have the records in the database. Okay, that's the first caveat. Okay, why? Because as I mentioned that, for example, if I go to, let's say, this record, right? So this record has the field, which is a related field, but there's no record. Okay. And what did I explain you about the master detail? That master detail relationship cannot be created without providing the relationship over here. So this is empty and this is not even possible. It means that you cannot have a record if you have a master detail, a child record, where you did not associate a parent record. So right now, the only reason it is possible, because we created the lookup relationship, and lookup relationship can be created without even selecting the parent record. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So usually, like most of the time, when you are creating these relationship, you will start from the scratch. Obviously, you are building the data model. You will define that, okay, I will create the master detail or lookup or whatever, and you don't have any records. So you have no issues. Okay. So you can able to create the master detail from scratch, but keep in mind, you have no records entered into the system. Now let's think about, let's say you have a running system, you have like a couple of hundred records in the system, and then for some reason, now you have a requirement to create a master detail relationship. How would you create that? Because as I said, if I try to create a master detail relationship, I cannot. So let's try that out. I don't want to go and try, but you can try it out after you have few records here and then try to create a master detail. It will give you an error message. It will say, I cannot create it. Why? Because it already have records, and and it means that if you create a master detail, all the child records will have no parent, right? So it's not possible. So the way in order to complete that is, first you will create the lookup, and then you go into each record and basically populate the related link like here. And then basically once you have every field basically populated, then you can go ahead and basically, for example, here this is empty, I can go ahead and populate this one also, and now all of my records have related things. So now I can go back and convert this into master detail relationship. Does it make sense? Okay. And before that, I can show you one more thing. So for example, let's say we know that this is a lookup relationship. So there is one object, I believe property 2 has one related object called Jim Seth. Okay. So Jim Seth is related. Now let's say I want to delete this record, object 2. And we will see that Jim Seth will not be deleted because this is a lookup relationship, because this is a lookup relationship which is not which is like a loosely bounded. So I can go ahead, if you want to create a record, you can delete it from here also, or you can delete it from the main view. So here also there's a delete for deleting individual records, or you can delete it from here also, record 2, and then here is also an option. So let's say if I delete this record 2, and if I go back to my list, you can see all the records are still here. Okay. But again, if it was a master detail, then what will happen? Then if I delete that, then that related record was also deleted along with the master record automatically. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Is everybody clear? So this is the difference between master detail. And again, as I said, if you have master detail and lookup and you already have records, and then you want to go ahead and change the record. For example, here we have property here, and I want to edit that. I want to change the field type. So here, because I already added all of them as a relationship already maintained. So let's say if you have 1,000 records, So first you go ahead and create the lookup relationship. Then you need to populate all the related fields of the 1,000. And again, there is a way to do that. You don't need to do it manually one by one 1,000 times. You can actually do it other ways. Again, that is called data management. It will come up later on where you can just import all the information via CSV file. So again, it won't take more than 5 minutes. But again, you need to populate all those 1,000 records. Now every record has the relationship which is lookup. Now we can actually convert into master detail. So let me go ahead and convert that into master detail. Everything remains the same. I just converted into master detail. Okay, so maybe there is still some record which does not have it. So let me check. Okay, see, did you see the error message? So here it is saying they cannot create master detail relationship. Okay, why? You cannot create a new master detail relationship on an existing custom object records, existing custom object if records already exist. You must first create a lookup relationship, which I just explained you, populate the lookup field with the data in all records, and then change the relationship type to the master detail. Okay, is everybody clear? And just want to show that in practice. So that's what I did. So I found one record where I did not populate uh, the relationship. Okay, now I hope every object has a relationship. Yep, here and here. Okay, now let's go ahead and try again. So we can go back again and go back to our object. Unboxx offer. Go to relationship, go to the field, and then edit it. Okay, so here let me try to change the field one more time. Try to do master detail. Next, save. And see, this time it doesn't give me error message. And how do you know if it is actually done? This is the field, and here you see master detail. Previously it was lookup. Okay, so I was successfully able to convert a lookup relationship into master detail. Now just keep in mind, this is, I'm just showing you as an example. Okay, you are not going to change it all the time, or you can just choose one or the other. So let's say you choose, okay, based on your scenario, either you will choose lookup or you will choose master detail. Now, this example is only pertain to a scenario where you actually um, have to create a master detail, but you already have records in your database. So this is a very particular scenario. I'm just telling you kind of a little advanced scenario, which will happen very, on a very day-to-day level. But this is where you can do that. Now, let's say if you are starting from the master detail, you have no records, then no problem. You can just go ahead and create a new relationship, master detail, no records, it will allow you to create it. This is only when you want to create a master detail, you already have the records in the database, then you need to follow this process. Now we were successfully able to create the master detail. Now let's see what couple of changes happen. So if I now go back and try to create a new record, and this time I want to skip the property. Like here, I don't want to give any property like in last time. Can I able to save the record? No, it will not allow me to save the record. Review the following field and saying that I need the value. So it means that you cannot even create a record without providing the related record or a parent record. And if you don't have it, then it will not create the record. So if I choose the record here, then it will able to create the record. So now how many records do I have here? 4. How many properties do I have here? 2. Let's check the first property. How many related property I have here? 3 properties. Okay. Now, and then if I go back to check the other property, how many property I have here? Test new 1. Now, can somebody tell me if I delete this property 1, how many, what will happen to the records in the Unboxx offer? How many records will be deleted, or will it, how many?
3.
3. And if I delete the property 3, then
1.
1.
And if, for example, we have the lookup relationship and then I delete property 3, would anything be deleted from the offer object?
No.
No.
Okay. So let's try this out just for the testing purposes. So just to make sure that property 3 has one related record, test new. And overall, we have 4 records, right? So just to verify that, 4 records. Okay, very good. So I'll go back to our property 3. I want to go ahead and delete this. Okay, delete it. 1 property is left. Let's check how many, right there, see that property is already deleted. So you see the difference between the master detail and lookup. That lookup is more loosely bounded. If you have the record, it's good. If you don't have the record, then also it can create it. But the master detail is a very tightly bounded. You need to have the master record embedded in order to create it. Another big difference is if you delete, again, keep in mind, normally we do not delete anything. This is just more like a hypothetical condition that for some reason you want to delete that record, is just to show you the relationship type. In actual practice, you probably not be deleting anything from either master or detail. You just keep everything in. And even if you make some mistake, you can add it and fix the record. So typically we don't delete it, and it's not about deleting, but it's just show you the connection between the master detail, that it is very tightly bounded. And it is so much tightly bounded that if you delete the master record, the child records will also be deleted. And same thing with the lookup, that it is loosely coupled. It can be created without even have a connection. But and also if you delete the parent, the child won't be deleted. Now with that information, I think it would be very easy to understand the differences. So here is a quick comparison between the master detail and lookup. And just to give you an idea, this is the most fundamental starting point of the database relationship, because creating object, creating apps, creating fields are pretty straightforward. But creating a relationship, a lot of people, if you're starting for the first time, if you don't have a background, just keep in mind this hopefully now looks very understandable, but it's not as easy as it appears, because a lot of people had a lot of confusions. And this is one of the favorite topics for questions during the interviews if you are going for the entry level positions. So this is very key. And again, based on that, most of your data model will depend. So again, it's very critical in terms of data model. It's very critical in terms of understanding. It's very critical in terms of interviews. So it has a lot of significance. And again, as I said, this whole 6 sessions are fully packed. Everything is very critical and everything is very, very important. So master details, some of the features are when a record of the master object is deleted, its related records are deleted. I don't need to reiterate it. No effect on deletion, so nothing happens. The detailed record inherits the sharing and security setting of his master record. So this is another thing that you will learn about the security setting, but keep in mind if you have a master detail relationship, that the child record or detailed record in this case will also inherit the sharing and security setting. Here, no effect. Standard object cannot be on the detail side of the relationship. Okay, so this point I can explain. So here you have Unboxx properties, Unboxx offer. Can somebody tell me what kind of objects they are? Are they custom objects or are they standard objects?
I think they're custom.
That is correct. They're custom object. And custom object means we created those. Example of other objects can be, for example, let's say accounts, right? So let's say if I add accounts over here. So this account is another object, but this is standard object. Is it clear? Because this is already available in the system by Salesforce. So anything which is available by Salesforce preemptively when you start off, this is more like a standard. So this is standard. Now let's say I want to create a relationship between Unboxx property and account, and just assume for a second that Unboxx properties is parent and account is child. Is it possible or not? And why is it not possible?
No.
And why is it not possible?
The custom we created in accounts is already standard features.
No, so basically account is already...
Security and settings.
No. So basically think about it. Let's say if you make Unboxx property as parent and accounts as child, and we created master detail, right? So it means that if we create a record from Unboxx property, a record from account will be deleted. But we already discussed that you cannot delete the record from account through the relationship. So that's why the standard object cannot be on a child side of the master detail. It can be master record, but it cannot be a child record. Does that make sense? But you can create a lookup relationship between these two. Okay, or you can make this anytime. If you can make the account as a parent, it's fine. So that is what it is saying over here, that standard object. So I give you an example that account is in a standard object. Standard object cannot be on the detail side of the relationship. Okay, but here there is no limitation. You can create a lookup. Okay, because if you delete a record from the Unboxx properties, it will also delete a record from accounts, and that is not permitted. It is not permitted that any record from a standard account will be deleted via relationship. Yes, it can be on a parent side, that if you deliberately want to delete an account by yourself, then you can delete it, and then whoever is the child record in the master detail, the other related accounts can be deleted. That is possible. So it can be on a parent side, but it cannot be on a child side of master detail. That's all it is saying. Okay. And even if you can try to create one, it won't allow you to create it. Simple. Master detail relationship field is required on the page layout on the detail record. Again, this is something that you needed, meaning that when you are creating the record, example is, let's say if I create a new record, you see that that field is now available here. So there is a way that you can hide some of these fields, even they are there, but you don't want any input from the user. So for example, I can hide this field, I can hide this field. I don't need it. I have the fields available in the database, but I don't need the input. So same thing, but you cannot hide the Unboxx property because this is a master detail. And if you hide it again, you know that why, because you cannot able to create the record without it. Same thing they are saying here in wording. The master detail relationship field is required on the page layout of the detail record, and you know why. Why? Because again, if you don't have it, then obviously you cannot able to create the record. Here, not required. Parents and child object are in tight bonding. You know that, just a statement. Here it is optional. Roll up summary be created on the object. Okay, so right there I can jump into something which is coming like today's topic, but it will come after few things, but I can actually cover it right over here. So there's something called roll up summary. So I can actually cover it over here very quickly. So you can see that this is a parent object. Again, we already established. I can remove this account. We don't need it here anymore. Okay, so now you understand that we have a property one. Property one has offers from 3 people. Okay, so I will just want to show you a couple of things which could be helpful. Again, that topic of master detail and lookup is over. We are moving to the next topic, but before that, I'm just giving you a couple of items in between so that you can understand it. So right now, there is a way how you can view the field. So if you click on Unboxx properties or Unboxx offer, this view is always showing as recent view, right? So recently view meaning if something you have viewed in the past 24 hours or so, right? So anything will there show up. But let's say if you have more records, maybe hundreds and thousands of records, they might not show up, but just show you some of the recently viewed objects. So this view, you can change it. You can create your own view. You can also add a lot of new fields here. So let's talk about that. So first thing, which is already available as a default, is between new, recently viewed and all. So if I click on all, it will show me all the records. Right now, we have only 3 records that it shows, but you can go ahead and create multiple records. And then you will see that if you go to the recently viewed, you see a couple of records that you see right now. And then if you go to all, it will show you all the records which are available. Now, let's say you want to customize this view. So what you can do is, let's say these 2 are not enough. You want to create your own view, right? How you can do that? You can go to here and you can say, I want to list view controls. I want to create a new list view. So here you want to say that my custom view, okay? And you can select it if only you can see it, everybody can see it. You can share it with your teams, whatever you want, you can do that. And here it will now give you an option. So here, what do you want? You can go back again. So here you can basically add, select fields to display. So let's say what fields do we want to display. So for example, in this case, this is a buyer name, which is already coming up here, but we also want to show his cell phone number. Let's say we want to show who created from our team. We also want to show the offer amount. We also want to show the property it is associated with, and save it. Okay. Now you see a very nice view start showing up here. We're just from the list view. This is the called list view. And here you see that as soon as I click on here, it goes back to the, account. Okay, 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, can we take a quick 5 minutes break? I just need to print something. So let's take a quick 5 minutes break and then we'll be right back. Let's go ahead and restart. So, okay. So sorry about that. It was a quick printing emergency. But anyway, so where we were, so basically I was showing you that if you click on that object, by default, you will see this recently viewed, but again, we have created our own view as well. So you can either go to all, which is again as a default one, or you can go to the one that we have created our own. So see, our view is giving you a lot of other information up front. So instead of going into each record, so for example, if I go back to all view here, I don't see any information. I have to go into the record and see the details. But in case if you want to see all that information up front, so you can able to decide which record do you want to go and do some action or read some more information, you can do that. And this is called customization. You can also use the pin in order to make this permanent. So let's say if I go back to another object and then come back. So here custom view is now your default view. So here it also tell you that to unpin, pin another view. So by default, you can change the view pin. Okay, so this is something I wanted to add. Now, other thing I wanted to show you quickly as another quick quick, what do you call that? Quick understanding is, for example, when we are looking at the details view, you can see all the information. You can basically change the setting of it. Like, for example, you want to show three fields here and 3 here, or you want to change just a view, just a layout. I will show you how you can do that. Also in the related field, for example, if I go to a record which has related field in the parent object, so here, if I go to the related field, again, is only giving you the name. Same thing I want to do here. I want to add some more information here so that I can able to see, some maybe the amount or, the address or email or something. We can also do that. So that part also I want to show you quickly, because all of these small things can make a big difference. You might need it on a day-to-day basis. So how you can do that? Again, you can go back. Let's say we can start with adding some more details into the related and also change the view of the details. So we can go straight to the properties object. So here you can go to object manager, again, go to properties, go to the properties object. And so far we have gone just through the details page, which comes as a default. And then we went to the field and relationship where we are creating all the fields. The next stop here is the page layout. So this page layout, meaning anything that you're looking at it, this is the page layout. And then the related is like, this is the page layout. So if you want to do anything with the page layout, meaning you want to remove some fields, you want to add fields, from object, but you want to remove some fields, make them few fields required, or change some settings, you can do it from here. So here, this is the page layout. You can have multiple page layouts also, and then you can assign page layouts based on different other criterias, which again, we will talk about in future sessions. For now, this is the default page layout. Again, as I said, you can create your own page layout as well in future. Right now, we are just basically going to update the existing one, which is created as a default. So a quick introduction, once you go into the page layout, it has the different sections showing up over here. So for example, these are the fields. If I click on the fields, basically it is showing me all the fields here. So if I go to the field section, so you see that the field section is right here, and you can able to see your different details here. So right now, this is how you're seeing it. Just in case if you want to change some settings, let's say you want to move the asking price and phone number on the right-hand side, or if you want to actually remove some fields. Remember, we talked about you can actually have the field available, but you can just remove it from the page layout. If I remove it from here, it doesn't mean that I'm deleting the field. I'm just deleting the field from the page layout, meaning that the user will not see this field. He will not input the field, but the field is still available in the database. What it means is, for example, if I remove this field from, for example, address from here. So what will happen is when somebody goes here and if they click on the new, they do not see the fields. Obviously, they do not put the address, but in the database, there is a field. And again, when you are creating new records, that will be empty. So again, because sometimes you might need to change the view, but you don't need to change the database structure as you keep it, but that will be empty field. So if you want to remove a field, you can remove a field from here. Again, as I said, it will not remove the field all along. This is only removing from the interface. And again, that field should not be required. If it is a required field, then obviously you cannot remove it. But here there is also called property. So again, if you want to make some field required, you can also require it, meaning that field, if you do not input that field information, that the record will not be created. And also there is an option called read only. Now you want to field, but you don't want somebody to enter some information and just make it read only. So after creating the record, then if somebody goes in there and edit it, he cannot edit the field because it is read only, and they can only able to create the field when they create the very first time. After that, they cannot go back and change it. So this is something kind of additional information to understand. Now, what we were talking about is basically related list. So if I go to related list, this is over here, or else I can just show you the view. So you can just scroll down and you can start seeing multiple items here. So related list is at the very bottom. So here right now, if you remember, in the related list, we were only looking at buyer's name. Okay, so just to show you also in the related list, just the buyer name. Now I want to see some more information so I can make some sense out of it. What is this? So all I need to do, I can just go to this um, change option and start adding the fields that I'm looking for. So for example, I need buyer phone number, might be helpful. I also need to know who created this record from our team and what is the offer amount, that might be important. And maybe created date, so I know when this record was added. And then again, if you want to move up and down, you can have full flexibility. So you can have whatever you want to do, you can do it and just save the record. Once you save it, it does not automatically save it, and you can see now this view looks like this, right? This is a snapshot. The buyer name was there before, but now you added 1, 2, 3 more fields, and this is how it's going to look like. Okay, look good. But keep in mind that unless you save it, it won't be saved. So a lot of things were automatically saved, but this one is not. So you have to click on the save button in order to make sure the layout is saved. Now we need to go back and maybe give a couple of refreshers to see if we can able to see the changes or not. So let's go back to the related list. And here you see that these 4 fields are now available. So not only you can see the detail part of it, remember this is also we changed, we moved the fields, they were all coming on the left aligned, we move some of them over here. In future, you could have removed from there, you can make some of them required, you can make some of them read only, so you can play around with all of them. But very quick overview that this is called page layout. Again, keep in mind, changing layout doesn't mean you're changing the database. How would you, or let me ask you this, let's say if I want to change this field into the database, can somebody tell me where should I go to change that? Anyone? If I need to change that field in the database, where should I go and change it?
Go to edit.
Edit, meaning, okay, let me go ahead and, okay. So, okay, let me reiterate my question. Of course, you're right, absolutely. If I edit that, I can change the value and I can change the new value. But let's say I want to change the value so that I can, let's say I want to remove a field. Let's say I want to remove the asking price so that it won't show up. So if I edit, that will only be editable only for this particular record, right? Not for every record, right? So how can I just actually make a change in the database?
We need
I think it will be the object. Yeah.
Very good. We need to go to the object. So anytime when I'm going to the object and related fields, and then I'm doing something over here, adding a field, removing, this is changing your database model. Okay, just keep that in mind. So this is your actual database model. So what is the database model? Your object, and these are your fields. These are the types of your fields, and this is your relationship of the field. So this is your database model. Now we also talk about something which is UI, which is UI UX, which is more like a how your layout is looking. So for example, here I define, I'm just throwing the number, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 fields. 8 fields are in the database, but on the interface, I'm only showing 5 fields. It doesn't mean that you have removed the fields from the database. You only remove from the layout. Let's say you said, okay, I don't need that information anymore, but you don't go into the database and remove the field permanently. You can, I mean, it's up to you, but basically, let's say maybe 3 months down the road, you might need it and you just reactivate it. You can add that back to the layout. So what it means is layout is something where you can show what you want to show, and the database is something where you're actually establishing a database. Again, if you remove something from database, what will happen? If I remove this field from database, then obviously I will remove all the records. That's it, they're gone. But if I just remove from the interface, what will happen? Let's say there were any record prior, they'll all be there, But in future, when I'm taking input from the user, because this field is not on the interface, nobody's input any information, so that field will be empty. That's it. And then at any point in time, I can go back into my page layout and add that field again. And now you can able to add the record again. So just keep in mind that UI UX is something, and then database is something else. Database is controlled by the actual object manager going to the field, making the changes, which is permanent. And when I said edit a record, we are only talking about a particular record. So again, here, let's say an offer, I have multiple records. When I edit something, I can only edit this, and this is again the interface side. Okay, this is like an interface side where I can edit a particular record and change some values for a record, not for database. So database structure is already set, database fields are already set, type is set. We are just basically trying to add some data into the database and then creating new records. Okay, hopefully that is clear for everybody. Any question? Is everybody clear? So basically with that, what we have covered so far is what is the relationship. There are two types of main relationship. We talked about master detail, we talked about lookup. Again, as I said, at one point in time, either you will pick up master detail or you pick up lookup. Okay. Now, as I said, master detail is very tightly bound. Lookup is loosely bound. Couple of examples where you think master detail is important and lookup is important. I'll show you one extra feature, and then you can decide which one is more feasible. It's basically up to you to decide it. And in some cases, based on the requirement from the customer, master detail is more feasible, and sometimes the lookup is more feasible. It's basically two different tools. And again, I give this example pretty much in all my sessions, that whatever you are learning, all these features are like tools, right? So let's say if you learn about, okay, this is a hammer, and this is used to, basically you can able to either use it for break the wall, or you can just put a nail on the wall, or you can bring the nail out of the wall. You can do a lot of things with the hammer, right? So basically all of these things are tools. Where they use it, how to use it, it's totally up to you. Nobody can teach you that, because the tools, we can only teach you the tools, and how to use it more efficiently, that's totally up to you, and then the requirement of the database. Now in Salesforce, every single org, so this whole thing with what we're discussing, this is called org, like organization, Salesforce org. So every single org, from one bank to another business to another, so they are basically very different. Although they are using the same features, they have the kind of a similar database, but every process is different. Some of them are doing same things, but differently. So basically you need to kind of understand the tool. You need to understand the limitations of the tool. You need to understand the benefit of the tool. You need to understand how to use the tool. And then when the scenario comes in, then you are basically almost like an architect of the system. So you will be building a system for a client from scratch and giving them, because client doesn't know what is master detail, client doesn't know what is layout, client doesn't know none of this, right? You know what it is. So client will tell you in a very layman language what he wants the system to look like, how the field should appear, what kind of fields which are dependent. So he can use word like a dependent or something like that, but he never use a word like a relationship, because he don't know. Maybe he's a technical person, he can, but we are assuming that most of the client, 90%, are non-technical and they're business people. They will just tell you, okay, this is what we need, this is how it comes up, this is the relation, this is the dependency, this is from where the values are coming, this is I need to see on the screen, this I don't need to see on the screen, this should update like this should not update like this. And based on that information, you need to build this system, right? And what I'm teaching you is just the tool. So I'm going to teach you, okay, this is one tool, this is how you can set up your view, this is how you set up your object, this is how you set up your fields, these are different types, this is master detail, this is lookup, this is many to many, this is all that. Now how to mix and match together, how you really execute them, to be very honest, that depends upon each person. For the same task, different consultants can able to do that via different methods, and all of them are correct as long as they're following the best practices. Okay, so with that, let's move into something next, which is called roll-up summary. So we have created a master detail relationship. Let me go back to here. and go back to the parent object. So here's the parent object, here's the related object, okay? Now there is something very nice with the master detail, although we heard all of the bad stuff. I'm not gonna call bad stuff, but tough stuff for master detail. One is if you delete the master record, the child records will be deleted, okay? You know, it's like a contingency, right? Again, if you add a record in the child, I mean, you need to have related list, I mean, related object added before you create a master detail, another contingency. So it sounds like very contingent, and you know, why we can just go ahead and use the lookup. So there should be some nice advantage also on lookup for master detail if you want to make them more equivalent partner, right? So the one of the nice advantage of master detail is something called roll-up summary. So let's understand what is roll-up summary, and just to give you a reference on our topic. So here, this is our today's topic. So we just learned about one-to-one relationship, master detail, lookup, and then we will learn about master detail in a little bit. And then I'm kind of jumping here on the roll-up summary because this is directly related to the master detail, and then we'll get back to many-to-many relationship. Okay. So what is roll-up summary? So this is like a nice feature that is giving some, you know, positive vibe to the master detail, because otherwise everybody will say, you know, I mean, lookup is makes sense. I'll just kind of use lookup all the time, right? And this is true, unless we talk about this roll-up summary. So what is roll-up summary? So roll-up summary, just think about roll-up summary as an option where if you have one, again, as I discussed in master detail, you have one master and you have many child records like this. So now if you want to take a kind of a summary of your child, it will be very easy in master detail records. For example, if I want to know what is the highest bidding amount, just show me that amount on my detail, create a roll-up summary for the highest bid. Just show me right here. So that is called roll-up summary. Okay. So you can show them very quickly in 2 steps. I'll show you. Or you want to show the sum of all the amount. In this case, sum doesn't matter, but I mean, if you can, like in some other case, let's say you are selling a product and this is like a product number 1, and these are all the people who bought that product, and you want to show the what is the total number of what is the total amount you have sold it, right? So what are the 4 different options that you can select in roll-up summary is right here. Let me show you what are the 4. Okay, here. So in the roll-up summary you can create, and this roll-up summary is only available where? It is only available in master detail, because we want to equate the master detail, also give them some wings, right? So here you can either get a count. What does count mean? You want to quickly see on the detail section without even going to related, how many offers do I have? So I can say here, I can create another one, total offers, and I can do a roll-up summary for count, and it will give me 3. So before even going here, I can see 3 over here. Let's say the next is sum. In this case, obviously it doesn't make sense the sum, but for example, if this is a product 1, and I want to say, okay, what is the sum of total sales? It will just add up everything and say here total sales, and it will add everything, give a sum of it. Here you go. Here it will tell, okay, what is the minimum offer, maximum offer I want to add, and I can add all 4 together if I want to. Okay, so this is called roll-up summary field. So very quickly, I can create one. And again, can somebody tell me where can you create the roll-up summary field between master and detail? Or yeah, master and detail, or parent or child?
Child.
Okay, anybody else?
No, on parent.
Why?
Because like for that particular unique object or whatever, that parent, unique parent, right? We can find like how many child objects are there, or what is the maximum number of amount they have.
This field is only available on the parent anyways, right? Isn't it? Like you can see the, this is adding up over here. You can see only on the parent, how many childs do I have, right? Because for each child, there is only one parent anyways, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, when you say one to many, you need to check from the parent how many kids you have. Usually you never ask a child how many parents do you have. You ask it? No, right? You always ask parent, okay, how many kids you have? Somebody says 1, somebody says 2, somebody says 5, somebody says 10, whatever. But you never ask a child, okay, how many parents you have? I mean, they know that if you just say that mother, father is a single entity, just one parent, right? So you don't never ask it. So you don't need a field on a child object, because you know that there is only one parent, you need that field where on the parent object, because these things also very necessary to understand, because when you are going to create that, you will be confused that, okay, yeah, I know I can create the lookup summary, but where and why, right? So that's why I'm giving you all of these daily or day-to-day examples, so that you can remember and you know why, right? The most important thing is why. Because the parent can have many child, and then for example you can ask the parent, okay, let's say if a parent have 5 children, you can ask him, can you tell me how many children do you have, right? That will come under count. 5. Okay, what is the cumulative age of, or let's say everybody goes to work, what is the total sum of your child, how much money they make? So let's say everybody makes $1,000, $5,000. Okay, very good. That comes under sum. Okay, what is the minimum age of your child? Let's say 20 years. Okay, what is the maximum age of your child? 40 years. Okay, so all of these things you will only ask the parent, not the child, because child is only have one parent anyways, right? So it means that whenever we want to create a roll-up summary field, where will we create that? On parent object. Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and create that. Again, we can go to the object manager. We go to the parent object. In this case will be property. And we need to create a new field. So we go to the field and relationship. We want to create a new field. And what type of field we want here? This is a specific type of field called roll-up summary. And this will only appear on parent anyways, okay? Because let me give you an example. So even if I want to go to a child object, the field will not be available. So let me show you that. So it doesn't make too difficult. So this is a child object. And let's say I want to create a same roll-up summary field. See, roll-up summary field is not even available. It's a grayed out. Okay, pretty straightforward. It's only available on where? It's only available on the master object. Okay, so even if you want to make a mistake, you can, because it won't be even available for you to create something. Okay, now we go back to the master. We said, okay, I want a roll-up summary. Good. Let's do that. Let's say total offers. We just want a count. Okay. Okay, very good. We do that. Very straightforward. Go to the next one. Here you can choose what you want. I want to choose a count. Which object? Offer, which is the child object, and then what I want, count. Okay, very good. That's it. And then I can say next. Here again, same thing, field level security. We skip for now, and that's it. I can create one more, okay, so that we can see the difference. So we can create one more roll-up summary. I got a count. This time I can say max offer. Okay, and again, same thing, which object? Again, there's only one child object, offer, and then I want the max offer. Okay, and offer, what is the field? Field to aggregate. Again, there are different fields. Created date doesn't make sense. Offer amount. I want to see which is the maximum offer. Okay, very good. Go to next. Same thing, we can skip for now, and that's it. Save it. Okay, all right. Here we come back and give it a couple of refreshers to see if things start populating. Here you go. So first roll-up summary field we added as a count, 3. So now without going into related, you know there are 3 offers. Very good. And without going to related field, we know the maximum offer is 5890. And let's check it out. 580, 5890. So this is offer amount. Why is it showing this one and not the other one? Interesting.
It's 5,890 hundreds. It's not 600,000.
But here the offer amount is 600,000.
Yeah, that is 600,000. The another one is 5,890 hundreds. I mean, it's more than that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, what I'm looking at. Am I mixing the numbers? Oh, okay. That's a 5 million. I'm sorry. Okay. I was thinking it's like a 500,000. It's like 5 million, of course. Okay. Sorry. Thanks. Okay. So very good. Okay. So you saved my day. You saved my couple of minutes. Okay. Very good. So here, obviously, the 5 million is the maximum offer. So you got right there. Okay. So basically, you see, you add these two and you can add more. But this feature for adding the roll-up summary field is not available on the lookup chart. Okay. So this is only available on master details. So here you give some wings to master details because again, master detail is a lot of contingencies, lot of requirements, it's a tight bonding, but again, you need to give something advantage on it. And that's the biggest advantage, that you can create the roll-up summary field, which is used many, many, many times. So again, it means that master detail is also very, very helpful, although it's very tightly bounded. You need to have the information populated. If you delete something, again, you don't delete it at all, usually 99% of the cases. But if you delete something in master detail, the child records will be deleted. You cannot use the standard object as the child objects. All of those contingencies are there, but again, there's a huge advantage of creating these fields very, very easily. And that's why master detail is also very, very useful, and actually used more than lookup, because most of these fields are always required to create like count and offers and everything. And then you can use any of the fields. So right now we have only asking price, where you are looking for like total number of offers. But let's say if you have many other fields, then you can use, other lookups as well. And then you can add, okay, total number of pricing, maximum sales, things like that. So it will be very, very helpful. Okay. So any question from lookup summary, lookup fields, or lookup or roll-up summary or master detail? So with that, we basically done with the one-to-one relationship. We covered master detail, we covered lookup, we covered types of it. We also covered a couple of associated items, how you add fields, how you can change the layout, how you can view the field nicely. For example, here you can see them. So basically you can go back and fix this view also, create your own views, add your fields. And then one more thing which I forgot to mention, when you are doing this, let's say if I go here and I can also edit I can also put a filter, right? So for example, I can go to this view, which is my custom view, and I want to edit. Okay, so here what I can do is basically I can add a filter also, right? So what is the filter? Let's say I only want to show the properties which are 600,000 and above, just an example. So offer amount uh, greater than 600,000, just as an example. So I think both of these will go away, and only this should show up. Okay, so see, both of the others will show away. So now let's say, and you can create multiple of those kinds of views, right? So one view for properties for 600,000, one view for zip code 20165, one for something else. So whatever you want, you can create multiple views, and that can help you working. So let's say if you're working as a salesperson, you need to make a call, so you can create different views. So anytime you have new properties coming in, you have your own views. And this is something that we actually create for customers, right? So when we kind of built up a whole new project and everything, then we created some nice views for them, and then also teach them how to create their own views. So we can probably create one or two sample views for them, so they understand what does it mean, how does it help them to perform their day-to-day job. And then later on, we can basically able to show them how they can also able to create their own views, because these are something that can help their workflow on a day-to-day basis. And they can create their own views, so they don't need to do filtration, or they don't need to search anything. So they can create different types of views for them, and then they can able to do filtration based on different views. So one view can be show properties in 20165, properties higher than this, lower than this, properties in this area code, anything that you want. I mean, right now this is just an example, but you can have nice different views. And again, you can see how helpful is that. Right away they open their day, they can go to their custom view, and then they can start working on it, right? Okay, very good. So with that, I guess I have give you a really good view. Now let's jump into another concept, and I hope that it won't mix up. Sometime I try to give this concept on a second one, but I think you guys are picking up very fast. So I can throw this many to many also. So right now we learned one to many, meaning you have one product like Apple, and you have many sub products like different iPhone types, right? So just think about Apple iPhone. iPhone is like a master, or iPhone is the or Apple is the master, and then iPhone from 1 to 13 or 1 to 12 is your child objects. Now there are also relationship which are many to many. Okay, and what does that mean? Giving you an example, you have an invoice. Okay, you have invoice of a product, and that invoice can have product 1, product 2, product 3. Okay, agree? Very possible. You go to a store, you buy 3 products. Okay, very good. Now when I'm sitting on a product, this product can be bought by 3 different people. So this product can also be in invoice 1 from the first person, invoice 2, which is, product is bought by another person, invoice 3, product is also bought by third person. So okay, so now in this case it's a different scenario. Now it means that one product, like one side, like a parent side, can have many child. On the other side also, this is also behaving as a parent, and it can have many child on the parent side. So now this is not the same relationship we just learned about. We learned about one to many, where you have one parent and you have many children. But here the child itself, each child can also be a parent, and it can have many uh, you know many child on the other side. So basically both of them, here it is master and detail, and here it is detail and master. So both of them are mastered, not master detail, but both of them are parent child here, both of them are parent child here. So this type of relationship is called many to many, where each of them can have, like, one entity can have many products, and one product can have many invoices. Can anybody think of any other example for many to many?
Yeah, students studying in a college can be in like some other tutorial college also. The same student can be in the same college and
That's
also.
that's my example. Some other example. That's my example. Anything else? That I'm gonna explain. But yeah, that's a true. That's a good example. But any other example? Anybody went to Florida and bought like a multi-day tickets?
Yes.
Yes. So that could be another example. So traditionally, what happens is you have one ticket and you can just go to one park, right? But now they have tickets like one ticket, you can go to multiple parks, and each park can have multiple people who have multiple tickets, right? So that can, I just think of it right away. Think of another example. So anything where you have, or also another example could be, and again, think about each example can be converted into either way, right? So another second example or third example could be a position versus resume. Okay. So for example, if you have a position, right? For that one position, you can have many people who are applying, right? And each person can apply for multiple positions, isn't it? Right? That is also many to many, correct? So one position can have many students, one position can have many applicants, and each applicant can apply on many positions, right? It's not necessary that if you open up a position, you can only apply on one position. So let's say I'm applying to Microsoft and there are like 10 different positions open for Salesforce consultant. So I'm a single person, I can apply to all those 10 positions, right? And each positions can take up as many people who are interested in applying, right? So that is also many to many, right? So there are a lot of other examples. Okay, so this is just to give you an example of what is the relationship look like. And again, keep in mind that you as a consultant, you need to understand from the user that what relationship it is, and you don't even need to tell him what we are thinking, right? What is this? Because he don't understand that, right? You understand it, you understand the data model, you understand many to many, one to many, master detail lookup, you understand all that. So client doesn't. So client will tell you, okay, I have this object and this object related to this one, and then you need to ask all the right questions in order to understand that is this looks like a one-to-many or many-to-many? If it is one-to-many, is it looks more like a lookup or master detail? Because now you know the properties. So you will ask the questions accordingly. You said, okay, if I delete this, do you need this? Do you need some additional functionalities on it? Do you need like sum or count or something and things like that, right? And then you can understand if you have this object, if I create this one, it can have multiple options. And then each of them can it also have multiple options, or this is just a one-way street. So if it is one way, then obviously this is master, it is like a one-to-many. If it is two-way street, then it means that it could be many-to-many. So think about it. Nobody's going to tell you, is it many-to-many? Nobody's going to tell you that you can pick up master detail or lookup. This is your own analysis as a consultant. And again, that will help you when you are kind of doing a couple of examples, couple of projects, and then you go through some issues and some roadblocks and some requirements, and they're like, oh, I created lookup, but now the requirement hits that, oh, I cannot do that. So then, you can somehow manage that, and next time you will also understand something for future. So this is why, I mean, you can imagine that why companies are going for the experienced people, because not everything can be learned. Otherwise, they can give the most amount of money to the person who is getting 4 out of 4 from the school, and he will give you, okay, here's your $1 million salary. So that $1 million salary normally goes to a person who is in the field for 15, 20 years, have a lot of very cool projects, very, very hands-on, and he don't give it to somebody who just got like distinction or 4 GPA or 20 certifications. The reason is, yes, you can learn a lot of things, you can understand a lot of things, but unless you go into the environment and really do it, you don't get a gist of it, right? So you can get a very high level understanding, and again, as I said, all we are doing, and normally whatever you do before you are actually working is just understanding the tools, understanding the features of the tool, where can I use it, where can I not use that, what is the benefit, what is not benefit, and then you have a suite of tools at your exposure, and then you can pick up each tool and use it. So how to use many-to-many, I'll tell you right now. I told you the difference at the moment, that what is the difference between one-to-many and many-to-many. So now in many-to-many, if I just want to draw a correlation here, what it really means is basically this is many and this is many, right? So so when we discuss about one-to-many, is basically one into many, like one parent and many child. So basically it is nothing but 2 times one-to-many relationship will make you many-to-many. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, let me explain you in a better way. Okay, so what we do is, because both of these things are variable, okay, so the problem is how you can add that information into the database, right? So for example, here, how we add that, it's very straightforward. We can just connect that, add a field here, and we can able to add it. Now the problem is, if I want to add here property 1 belongs to Tom Hanks, and here property 1, I want to add more people who are buying the property, not as a related, but who are actually buying the property. So I have to probably just, let's say if I add here, so what I can do is I can just add a field called buyer. Let's say here ABC. And then the only other way I can do that is maybe I can basically re-input that information, and here I can say XYZ, right? But you don't want to replicate the information into the database, right? So this is not a right way of doing it, right? So what they come up in order to tackle this problem is, they said, okay, if you have many-to-many relationship and you have 2 objects, for example, you have object 1 and then you have object 2, okay, and you have many-to-many relationship between that, okay, between them. So what you do is basically you will introduce a new object from your own pocket, okay? You will bring a new object, and we call this object as a junction object, okay? So what you're gonna do is basically you wanna bridge them with another object, and what you will do, you will create one-to-many between, for example, object 1 and junction. And you all know that you can do that, right? How you can do that? You can either create a master detail or lookup, correct? And then you can do another one-to-many between object2 and junction. And again, you have a choice of doing master detail or lookup. Is that make sense, or it's not making any sense? So we want to do a many-to-many relationship between object1 and object2. We know that both of them are variable. So what we did is we said, okay, we introduce a new object called junction object from our pocket. It's not a required object from the customer side. We just created a new junction object. And the way we can implement that into the database is we will create first one-to-many that we can create it between object1 and junction object. So junction object will be the child object in both cases. And this will be the parent object. And you can do master detail or lookup in either case, right? So you first created one-to-many from object to junction, and then another one from object2 to junction. And through junction, so basically what will happen is basically object1 will be connected to object2 via this junction object. And then you will update the junction object. So you will add the fields that you have in the object1. So for example, and maybe this will help you understand it. And this is the exact example that we will do. So let's say we talk about object1 is something as subjects. Okay. So what subjects do we have? Let's say maths and English. Okay. Then in object2, we have Sarah, Tim, Ali, and Khan. Okay.
And can I ask you one thing?
Sure.
Object 2 will be the child object, right? Because there is already a parent object, object 1.
So both of them will be parent object, and the child
okay.
object in both cases is the junction.
Oh, okay, I got it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in the object2 will be students. Okay. So how do you start? And I'm going to give you like a visual view of how you will do that too, right? So first step is you will create object1. You go to the object and everything, and you create the object1. And you create the fields. Let's say the field is only maths or some maths. The field is only the subject name. Okay. Then you create an object2. Same way, you go to object, create a new object, and you call that student. And then the only field that you need is like student name. Okay, both of them text. Okay, very good. Then you create a new junction object, the third object, junction object, and you will just leave it empty right now. You just create the object, and then you just leave it empty. And you can just create the base field which is required. You can just call it junction number or something, right? An auto field. Okay, so far so good. Now let's understand how does that work. Okay, so let's say what you want in the maths class, I want Sarah and Tim to be there. Okay, I go here and I want to say Sarah and Tim belongs to maths class. Okay, and Sarah is also taking both maths and English. So that first you understand that how does it become many-to-many, right? So basically for a subject, you have many, which is many students. For a single student, you have many what? You have many subjects, right? So basically each of the object1 and object2 is basically parent at the same time. Okay. So because of that, in order to take care of it, we created a junction object. And the most understandable name for this junction object that I can give, I'm going to give it as registration. Okay. And what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to ask the name of the student. So I'm going to ask two things. I'm going to ask student and I'm going to ask subject. And that's it. I can connect it. So in this case, first I will ask the student name, which is Sarah, and then the subject, which is maths. That's it. One record is created. Second record, I can create Sarah and English. Okay. So this is how I will be able to create two records in junction object. They are kind of connected each other, right? But and also able to create master detail through this way, through junction object. So in the first object, I have a list of all the subjects. In the second object, I have list of all the students. And then I created a third object called junction, where I'm kind of marrying these two together. So this object is not doing anything, but basically kind of marrying these subject and stuff. And then the other field that you will see over here, the first field is called, let's say I want to give a auto number. So it could be registration number. So you will have three fields on this object called reg number, name of the student, subject. Reg number, name of the student, subject. And I can show you so that it can be more clear. But before that, any question, like more like a theoretical question, that what is not clear or anything which is kind of a still jumbling up. Is it clear to everybody? Is it not clear to anybody?
It's clear, but only one question I have is like in junction, the registration number should be unique, right?
Yes. So registration number will be the same field that we create as a default, and that will be auto number. So every time the registration number will be created automatically. Remember this one, like how we created when we go to Unboxx property, we create this one and there is a property number, but we never able to input, right? But when you create a property number, this will be created automatically.
But yet for the same student, the registration number should be same, right?
Oh, yes. So in this case, right now, it will be different because, yes, you are right, that in reality, it should be same. Okay, there's that. In reality, it should be same, but like in this example, it would be different because right now we are just learning how to create the master detail relationship. Okay, in future, when we are actually implementing this as a actual thing, then we can come up with something else. So instead of registration number, it could be something else, and then the registration number, or we can merge the registration number in future, basically based on, so that is something more advanced that you can do, but your question is absolutely correct. That registration number should be same, but this is just, we are learning how to create the many-to-many relationship using, using the junction object.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, but your question is absolutely correct. Very good question. So you're right, it should be the same, but in this case it will be different because it will be every time it will create a unique number, and then later on you can maybe, so for example, let's say if we want to make it easy, right, what we can do even with this scenario, we can create a report, and then in the report what we can do is we can kind of combine with the first name, last name, and then we can kind of combine the registration number together, and that will give you like a, and we can, or we can create a new number based on registration numbers or something like that. So there are different ways to do that. I mean, that required a little bit more like an analysis how we can do that, but that will be kind of go into a different direction. But right now, just to kind of understand this many-to-many relationship, that can be the easiest example I can give. Okay. Other than that, is there any other question before we start working on this? Okay. If not, let's go ahead and create that. So what I did is basically I create a separate application for that. So this will be your chance to create a new application. The name of the new application is called Unboxx Learning. And what I did is preemptively, I created two objects. One is called student and one is called subject, as I said, to save some time. So in a student, all I have is just one field, just taking the student name. In the subjects, I have just one field, just taking the student subject, just the subject name. Okay. And I created maths and English, and here I created Sara and Ali. Okay. Now what we need third is we need to create, and our task is we need to create many-to-many relationship between these two objects. And again, for that, we need a new junction object. So let's go ahead and create a new junction object here. So we go to object manager, we go to custom object. We're just gonna call it registration. And the first one, we decided that we can give it registration number for now. And then we can create an auto number. We can say Okay, we can start from 1 and that's it. Okay, so we created an object called registration number. After creating the object, what would be my next right away step? Anybody?
Tabs.
Go to what?
Tabs.
Tab. Very good. So the next step is go to tab and create the tab for that. Just create the tab for registration, use any color. Next, the first thing is again profiles. We haven't learned about it, so right now we can just keep it default. But for the apps, we know that what app do we need to include. So we uncheck this and we only include to this learning app that we have just created. Save it, and yep, that's it. And then here this new app is added. Now go ahead and check on your apps if it is available. So again, it might take few refreshers. Yep, right here is available. Again, now what we need to do, can somebody tell me what we need to do on registration? So the one field is already available on registration, which is auto number. So see here, auto number will be come up over here. What else do we need now in order to connect with the two objects? Let's say we want to go with um, lookup relationship. Okay, so what do we need to do? Anybody can guess what would be the next step?
Maybe create a relationship between object 1, the subjects, and the registration.
Awesome. So where should I go to create the relationship? Should I go to the master or the child?
Child.
Child. And then in this case, so we are talking about 3 objects, right? So that you remember. So which one is the child object in these 3 objects?
Junction is the child.
Junction. So very good. So you can go to the junction object, go to the object manager, go to the child object, which is called registration. And then what should I do? How do I create a relationship?
You just go for the new
New, okay.
and then create the master detail relationship.
Master detail or lookup. So let's say we want to go with lookup. Very good. Just do the lookup, select the object. So what is the first object? First object is, let's say, students. So I go to students, wherever they are, right here, student, and we just keep the default for now for field level security and go to next. So this is there. We need to create one more, right? Save and new. Okay, what was other one? Same way we can go again, lookup. And this time what we choose, I think we choose students, so we can choose the subjects. And same process. Okay. All right. Now we need to go back. So this is done. Now we need to give a couple of refreshers just to make sure it start coming up. All right, let's see. Not yet. Okay, so see, now we have 3 fields available. Remember, first field we said registration number. Second thing, we want student. So again, I think I forgot to name it properly. I just put the registration, so you can go back and fix it. You can just give the field name as student, right? So here we have a student, Sarah, and this is just the field name. I mistakenly didn't change it, just keep it registration. So just go back and fix it, and I'll fix it later on. And then the subject, for example, maths. Save. I could have added a couple of more. So let's say same thing. Sarah, maths is already done. English, save it. And then one more, Ali, and then we can do maths. Okay, now you will see the difference. So now if I go to subjects, and if I go to, for example, maths, in the related, you can see these two records are available. Okay, same thing. We just want to know what exactly, who are the students which are available. Same thing we can do. We can go to the subjects related list. So we can go to subject page layout. Go to the page layout. We go to the here. We go to directly to related list right here. And here we can add the other information. So for example, we want to add the name of the student. So I think name of the student right now is just a registration, so we can fix it later on. And probably that's it for now. So here registration and save. Okay, so here now we are going into subject. For example, math. You can see that math is added, Sarah and Ali. So this is one to many. So subject one and many, like subject one, which is maths, and then many students. Now, if we go to the student part, and then same thing, we can go, for example, Sarah, and we go to the related. Again, there are many, so we can also make a quick change here. So we go to students. Same thing, go to page layout, go to quickly related list, just add whatever we want to see, and what we really want to see is a subject. Save it, and come back. Okay, here you go. So now this time the master is Sarah, and then the many side or child object is subject. So basically, with the help of registration object, which is your kind of a junction object between the students and the subject, in both cases, either you go from student to subject, you have one to many, or you go from subject to student, subject to student, you have one to many. So we created many to many between student and subject through registration. And this is how you can able to add as many records. So registration is kind of just a helping record, which is connecting these two together, because you have different options. So one student can have many subjects, one subject can have many students. So you need to take a help of another junction object in order to connect these two together. So here we use two relationships, two one-to-many relationship. We use two lookup relationship on the registration, because this is child object for both. So this is master student child registration. Again, master subject child registration. So registration was the child object in both cases, and we were able to create master detail here, another master detail, or lookup here, and then another lookup. And this is how we can able to create it. Now choosing master detail or lookup is totally up to you, because I already had the records, so I choose lookup. But again, you know how to convert if you want to create master detail or lookup. Again, if you don't have any records, no problem, you can create whatever you want. If you have records and you want master detail, then you know that what you need to do, you need to create lookup first, populate all the records, then you can go back and change into master detail, the same exercise we did. But it's just a combination of two one-to-many relationship together, jumble together, and just give you a many-to-many relationship. So let me know any questions that you guys have for many-to-many before we quit this topic. So again, I will supply this for you. You can able to actually do this example, which is a very detailed example called Star Pharma. So here, I'm just going to walk you through some of the ideas and what you can do on your own as a practice. And this is a little bit more extensive. So here you have 6 different objects. So starting with pharma product, hospitals, samples, visit, team, and invoice. Okay, 6 objects. The name of the application is called Star Pharma, and then each of them have different fields. There are some fields which are not defined. So for example, if I come over here, these two are empty. So any field which is empty, they need a relationship. Okay. So pharma product need a relationship for pharma product, right? So here you can use master detail or lookup. Visit need a visit item. So again, it need a master detail or lookup. Thank you. Here, this one is fine. This one also need pharma product or hospital, need a master detail or lookup. What I also did here is create an example just to show you what relationship can go. So pharma product, between pharma product um, and sample, these two objects, what relation make a lot of sense, what relation doesn't make sense. So all of this is here. So you can have either, in some cases, a master detail, in some cases, a lookup, or, you know, again, you can change it based upon the logic, but this is kind of an example that you can walk through. So this is one of your kind of a assignment or like a home practice or project that you can actually do. And again, you don't need to submit it in the next one. If it takes longer, it's fine, but it's basically something so that you can able to try a little bit different than what we are practicing, because this is something which I'm not showing you. So you are doing it pretty much on your own, starting from scratch. So this is more like an example that you can take it as a project and actually able to do that. So this is something there. Here is the view of the relationship. So these are the different lines, and I can show you later on as well. And then here are all the different things that we talked about already. There are some examples. I mean, same thing. I mean, if you follow the examples, then you don't need to worry about it. There are some other guidelines, some examples. So you will find all of these in today's lecture along with the recording. But again, you know, just for practice purposes, this is another way you can do that. And also we go through a couple of other items, how to actually create them, and also roll up summary. So before I quit this topic and take a quick break, is there anything else that, any question regarding the relationships that I can answer? Anybody? Is it clear to everybody?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. Anybody else?
Basically, I understand those two lectures,
Mhm.
first lecture and second lectures. Relationship is the main work here, like parents to children,
Mhm.
and then masters to and lose up. Those are the connection each other's.
Those are connection to different objects. Correct. Like
Yes.
same thing as, like, say if you're creating that into your Excel sheet, right? Now in the
Yeah.
Excel sheet, you need some sort of relationship, right? So these are the relationship that we are building between the objects, so that instead of when you need to populate them, you can actually populate this whole line using this property one. Basically, when you put property one here as a drop down and you select this one, you're basically selecting this whole line, and this is representing that now you connected this record with this record.
Yep.
Okay.
This is the main Salesforce work. It will all together, everything, whatever you're going to do.
This is just the starting.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah,
But this is going to be detailed, going to the same thing.
yeah, exactly. It's just basically it's gonna expand more when you go into the project. Then you can have different scenarios, you can have different objects. That is different, but the fundamental is gonna be the same.
Same,
Creating
right.
the object is same, creating the app is same, master detail is same, lookup is same, many to many is same, everything is same. It's just you will come up with a different examples, and that's why I have this example for you that you can practice on your whenever you get a chance. But again, the concept is the same. Yeah, in Salesforce,
Right.
whenever you start building a new data model, this is data modeling. This is called data modeling. So if somebody asks you what is the first step you do in Salesforce, first thing you need to do a data modeling. And then just to give you an idea, so once you have the data modeling, then you go to the next step, which is more like a data security, right? So first you create a model. Okay, I need that many objects, I need that many fields, and these fields are this type, this is the relationship between the fields. All of that will be done, right? So your first task or first milestone is to come up with a data model. Once you are done with the data model, then the second step or second milestone in your project will be, now
Security.
how would I do the security?
Correct.
Because as I said, let's say you're working in an environment, you're working in a bank, and you have cashiers. So cashiers can see, for example, one type of records, but they cannot see the records from another branch. But your manager can able to see the records from the same branch and maybe 3 branches, right? So how manager can see more records and cashier can see less records, or maybe there's a director who can see records from the complete state, right? But the manager can only see maybe from 3 different branches. So how, because the database is same, it's not like a different database for each person, it's the same exact database. But if you have 20 people, different people can see different data. How you can manage that? So that is called security. Once you are done with the security, the next stop will be, your third milestone will be data management. So data management is how you can import the data, how export the data. For example, I give you an example that, let's say you want to change the relationship for lookup to master detail, and you have 1,000 records where you need to update that. So you are not basically planning to go on each record and update 1,000 or 10,000 records manually one by one, right? So the way you can do that is there are some tools within Salesforce that we will learn into data management, where you can, in one shot, you can actually import 10, 1, 50,000, 100,000 records, or update 100,000 records, or delete 100,000, 10,000, whatever number of records you want to work, you can do it in one shot. That comes into data. And then you need to have that a couple of other things like reports and dashboards, also doing the automation. So the automation or business process automation is one bulk process where, let's say you make a purchase, you can automatically get an email. Somebody open a ticket, your clock will turn on. So for example, if you call to Verizon and you complain them that, hey, my Verizon Fios is not working, usually at their end they have a clock starts right away. Let's say their response time is 72 hours. So if they do not able to come back to you in 72 hours, the ticket will go to the next tier.
Okay.
Right? And things like that. So they are all come into business automation. That will be our like follow-up session. So very interesting stuff. Everything is kind of connected with each other. But so far what we have done is basically we understood the data modeling. And now I'm giving you a couple of other examples, couple of things in the rest of the time, and then we'll move forward. So before that, let's take another break of 8 minutes. And then we'll get back at 11:30, and then we can go for our last leg of 30 minutes for a couple of other interesting topics which are coming up.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. So our next topic is still related to the database. So we are still almost getting close to the completion of the topic. So the next item we have is called formula field. So as you know that we are creating different objects. Let's go back to our regular object here. For example, if you are talking about, our main object, there are different fields. We can move it around. Now, let's say you want to add a field where you want to introduce a formula. So example of that could be a discounted price. The example of that could be some sort of summation, addition, or some kind of condition. Based on that, you can calculate something. So if you want to introduce a formula that is taking that is doing some sort of calculation, so there is a field type in Salesforce where you can create a formula. So again, anytime we need to do something like that, we need to go back to our setting option, go back to the object. So the object is property, for example. We go in there, and then if we go into the field and relationship, and if we want to create a new field, so we kind of discussed in our last session that there are different types of data, and we pretty much used already auto number. We have used roll-up summary. We have used lookup, master detail. We have used currency. We have used email. We have used pick list. We have a new text, right? So some of them we already used. So there is another one which is again used a lot of time. It's called formula. So formula is, as I said, something where you want to use a field where you want to display a number without actually doing a calculation. Example of that could be, let's say there's a promotion going on where you want anybody who buy stuff more than $100 can get a 5% discount. Or in our case, let's say if we have a property more than 500,000, we can give a 10% discount, right? Let's say we are already in 2021, and the expectation is the property market will started to go down, right? Again, it could be, I could be wrong, but again, based on all the indications which are happening, and if you follow the news, the most reasonable prediction is the housing market will start collapsing, or at least collapse to some extent, right? Maybe it could be 2008 levels, could be less, could be more, we'll see, right? But based on our scenario, let's say we build this project and it's basically launching somewhere in summer 2021, where prices are really bad, and we are giving some discounts. So one of the discounts is like, if your property is more than 500,000, it's like a 10% discount on the listed price, right? So how to create that kind of formula, or you can come up with any other example, like if you want to give a discount on something. So usually if you want to give a condition, and if the condition is true, give the price, and if the condition is false, then there is no change. Okay, so how we can do that? So before I go and create the formula field, just to show you how simply you can create the field, and again, this is also will be shared with you. So the simple formula for this case is, discounted price is, if you multiply the price, for example, 500,000 into zero point 0.9 will give you the discounted price. So for example, okay, so let's say if I have $500,000 house, and if I multiply by 0.9, it will give me the final price after the 10% discount, which is $450,000. Okay, so everybody clear? So same thing is written over here. So simply you can put that whatever the price is, multiply by 0.9, or another way of doing the same thing is, I mean, it's just a formula, is price minus price into 0.1 is the same thing, right? So basically we are saying that for the price, if it is greater than 500,000, give a 10% discount, and the formula that we're going to use is going to be if formula. Okay, so there are many formulas that you can use. Again, what all you need to understand is the syntax of the formula. So I will show you, the syntax is already available, examples are available, and we can actually show you at least one of the examples for if, and then for future purposes, you can practice more and more and see how you can get yourself comfortable, because in future, or in the real field scenario, you might need to use a lot of other examples as well. But if you get the idea, if you understand it, then it's all about the practice and errors that you're getting, how to resolve it. And one thing that I just want to mention here is when you will see this right now when I'm doing it, because I've done it few times, and I can maybe able to maneuver things which I've learned from the experience. But for example, if you are doing the same thing and you're stuck somewhere, okay, one of the main exercise of this using Salesforce is how you can troubleshoot that issue. If you basically stuck somewhere and you just give up, and you're like, okay, I need to call somebody, I need to check with somebody, can you please tell me what is the issue? Then it's gonna be very hard for you to understand. The reason is because in Salesforce, whenever you implement something, you will go through a lot of error messages, a lot of issues, a lot of roadblocks. And the best way to learn is to find out what is your issue and resolve it maybe on your own level. You can do as many research as you can. You can go to the help manual, you can do Google, you can do YouTube, you can check my notes, you can check Salesforce help manual, you can do whatever, but try to resolve it without taking somebody else's help, because this is ongoing process. You can check with anybody who is a Salesforce developer or an admin or architect for like 5 years, 10 years. Even today, when they implement something, they will stuck, and then they go back into Salesforce manuals and check. But because they already understood how to troubleshoot it, they can go back and review it and then come back and fix it, because this is an ongoing practice. Salesforce releases 3 different releases every year. So every year there are 3 different models of Salesforce released. It means that very soon the things that you are learning, there are, again, they don't change the fundamental, but they change some like a high level stuff, few things, some additional features, some, change a little bit here and there, add new features. Add new features is always the case. Sometimes they amend the previous system. Again, the biggest example that I showed you is the interface. The interface is changed already once. So Salesforce used like a same kind of interface for about 13 to 15 years. And after that, they changed the whole interface. Again, there were a lot of changes. It was a lot of learning process, but that is something that you have to accustom yourself with software field. In software field, it is a continuous change process. Whatever you learn today, it will get obsolete and very soon in future unless you continuously upgrade yourself. So this is something, there is no escape from that, because the product, the owners of the product, SaaS platforms, and the product itself, even the language itself, everything is evolving. So they're changing. So if you want to follow them up, you have to continuously upgrade yourself so that you can keep it with the pace. So here I'm giving you a simple example of if condition. So how does if condition goes? If condition goes with the wording says if, start with the bracket, end with the bracket, and has 3 statements in between. The first statement, it says what is the condition. Okay, do you want to give a condition when this happens? So in our case, we are saying yes. We only want to do something whenever the price is greater than 500,000. If it is less than 500,000, then this basically your cursor doesn't go into the next condition, right? Because the condition is false. So if the condition is true, if the price is more than 500,000, then what? So then if it is true, then whatever you want to do with that, you can make the change. Okay. So here, whatever in the true condition, whatever you want to do, for example, we want to give 10% discount. So we can put the 10% discount formula here, which is price multiplied by 0.9 or price in minus price into 0.1, whatever you want, right? You can put the formula. If it is false, if the condition is less than 500,000, then what? Then just show the price itself. Okay, simple. So condition, if the true condition, then do what? Whatever you want to do. In our case, we want to multiply by 0.1 and give like a 10% discounted price. So if it is more than 500,000, give them 10% discount. If it is less than 500,000, just give the whatever price is that. Okay, simple. All right, now how to execute that? Now we get back to our object and formula. And then here we said, okay, go to next. Okay, what kind of output are you expecting from this field? What kind of data? So obviously this is something to do with the price. So we need currency as a data type. Okay, so we select the data type as currency. And field label is what is the discounted um, asking price. Okay, this is asking price or discounted asking price. Okay, and then the field is currency. Obviously, it's a money. Here is your view. So let me give a quick introduction to this page, because this is your canvas where you are kind of building your formulas and things like that. So first of all, if it is a simple formula or advanced formula, you have 2 options, right? So again, both of them kind of similar, but they have provided like a different view. So in the simple formula, you can see the field type. So first of all, you can select what is the field type. So we are choosing the same object that we have. In some cases, if you have related objects, so if you have, let's say, master detail relationship or lookup relationship, and you are sitting on the child object, for example, if this was an offer object, you can also able to add some fields from the parent object as well, but only if you have a relationship. If you have no relationship, then as you see here, I can only add the fields from the same object. Now here you have access to all the fields. So the fields which I can access, because I choose currency also already, so the only fields that I can probably use is basically either the asking price or maximum offer. So here I will choose the asking price. So if I need to use the asking price, if I choose that, it will actually give you here the name of that field, how it is stored in the database, right? So this is the field that asking underscore price underscore C. So this is the actual name of the field, how computer understands your data. So remember we talked about label. So label was something that you see on the top of the interface like this, Unboxx properties, and in there you can see the price. So price was here. So the price was asking price. So in the database, the asking price is written as asking underscore price, which is the same, but then underscore underscore C. Okay, so this is the actual formula that computer can understand, or your Salesforce can understand. This is the value. So this is how you can get the fields. If you want to know what is the formula for max offer, so this is the max offer field. If you want to know what is that, so basically you get this directly, so you don't need to remember. So this is how you can get the value. So let's keep that value down here. We will probably use it, one of them. So here we already discussed that if you want to put a formula, this is how you can put it. But again, I can show you how you can get there if you are working on something else apart from if. So here is something called, so this one you understand, this is the field select, the object selector. This is the field selector, so that you can get the names of the fields like this. So whatever field you need to use in your formula, you can use it. So I just put it here just to show you. The next thing here is the insert operators, right? So here different type of operators. You can add, subtract, multiply, divide, or you can use it from here also. Now in our case, we want to use some logical options. So the logical options are available under the advanced view. And here, so this is insert operations are here, but here are some of the advanced operations, which is under the advanced formula. So for example, here is AND function, case sensitive function, date function, day function, find function, and all of these, how do you know how to use them and what is the detail? I can show you. So let's say you want to check out what is this hour function, right? So first of all, you can use this insert selected function. So that function will be inserted right here. Okay, so right here. So, and now you don't know what it is. So you have the help on this function. So I can click on the help. It will open up the help function, and it will actually tell me all the details that I need to know, that what kind of expression that I can put. So here it will tell you all the functions. So for example, here you can use this operators, and all the operators are here. So let's say we want to check out, what was that? So it was hour. So let's search hour here. Oh. Okay. So here you have that functionality add, or actually it's not the hour, but it should be here somewhere. And we are case. Oh, here you go. Okay, so for example, hour, and it is telling you what is the description. So return the local time hour value without the date in the format of number 1 through 12. So let's say you want to show the hour, you can use this functionality, use hour time and replace time with the time value, such as time now. So it will actually tell you the whole detail. It will have some examples, it will has everything. So all of these functionality has complete list of all the functionalities, how they can be used. So you can always able to access, and you can see the format as well. So in our case, let's say we are looking for if. So let's find if, and then click over here. So it will give you same thing, logical value here. Like we have a condition. I don't know what I did here. Okay, so you have this condition true false. So same thing here, logical test, condition true, condition false, right? Same thing, you can go to help on this function. You can click on that, and you can able to find more details, more examples, and then this is how you need to kind of enhance. So for example, here is if. So determines expression true or false, return a given value if true and another value if false. Logical test, overdue payments, another example, insert tax rates, custom button example steps. So a lot of information will be available for your review. So in our case, what is our logical test? Our logical test in this case is price is greater than 500,000. Now we need to make sure that we have the right ID. So where is the price? So asking price is the one that we need to use. So I'll copy from here and I'll use it on this first option where I have a logical test. So I put asking price greater than 500, 1, 2, 3,000. Okay, very good. What will happen if the value is true? So I can use that again, asking price multiply by 0.9. Okay, what is the value if false? Same value, right? No change. Okay, so if asking price greater than 500,000, asking price into 0.9, or if it is false, then just the asking price. Anybody has any question? Okay, now I'm going to deliberately do a mistake so that you can see that how does it show up. So as soon as you are done with that, you can check the syntax error. So in our case, it will give some error messages. Why? Because I have these things here, which doesn't make any sense. So it will give me a syntax error. So I remove that, and hopefully that should remove my syntax error. Oh, I still have syntax error. So let's try that. Okay, so see, no syntax error in merge field or function, blah, blah, blah. So it means that now I'm good. So see, you can notice that whenever you are stuck somewhere, it will give you some helping points, and then you have some help documentation, and then you have everything else that you can look into. But the main idea is the troubleshooting of Salesforce is part of your job. So you need to get comfortable with that. Again, in the beginning, it might take a really long time. Sometimes you might not able to resolve it on your own, which is fine. But just keep in mind that this is part of your job. Like, for example, if you go to a mechanic and if you have a problem with the car, there is no way the mechanic can just tell you just by looking at the car, oh, you have this problem. He needs to do some test. And again, based on his experience, without, so how much experience he need to spend less time. So if it is really experienced guy, he can even tell by the voice of your engine that, okay, what could be the problem. Again, he could be right and he could be wrong, right? But most of the time he's right because he have done that many times, and most of the time his guess is pretty accurate, right? Same thing with you when you're working, when you have issues. Right now, obviously you are starting something new, you have no background, you have no experience, so you might not able to guess. So you need to do a little bit more troubleshooting, understand it. But once you get comfortable with that, you can start understanding what could be go wrong, and then based on that, you can able to solve it. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. And here again, field level, we can skip it for now, and we can say it's just save it. Okay, now let's see if we able to get our output. Okay, not yet. Okay, here you go. So here, this price was in 5 million or something, and discounted asking price is no, yeah. So it was what was asking price? Asking price was $550,000, and after 10% discount, you can get 495. So see how it automatically calculates. So you just created this field one time, and then whenever you are doing the input, this field is not being asked. So this will be automatically calculated for you because this is a formula field. So if I go back and create a new record, this field will not come as an input. See that asking price is there, phone number is there, address and owner, but the property number and the this discounted price is not a field because it will come up automatically based on the formula. And again, if I use something which is less than 500,000, let's give a shot. So test asking price, let's say 400,000, save it. So see, the discounted price is still 400,000 because it is not 500,000. And if I go ahead and change the price here to higher price, and see that I change the price, the formula kicks in and just change the price. So very straightforward, nothing too crazy, but the main idea here is the thing where you need to work. Again, it sounds pretty simple, but it's not. The reason is you may not have this simple examples. You may have some more complicated things. You might need to use another feature or another function that you haven't used in the past. So you need to start kind of evolving yourself. And again, for now, you don't need to evolve everything. You can just take this one or two examples, understand it, and then move on. But coming back to that, just to keep you an idea that, again, if the Salesforce is on its full potential, it's very detailed tool. So you can do a lot of things, and these are again some of the tools that you can use it just by using configuration. So you can notice that you don't need to use a code so far. So all of the things that we will go through, they will not require any code. And when you are not doing any code, we call this configuration. So putting the formula, we are doing it via configuration. We are creating fields, and everything what we're going to do during this course, it's all called configuration. So Salesforce admin and business analysts and project managers can also help in configuration work. They are not expected to do development work or coding because usually they are not accustomed to that. But this is like the starting point. Even if you want to become a developer in future, this is the first step that you need to go through. Familiarize yourself, do some practice. Maybe best is if you can have some experience of 3 to 5 months, and then you can go for the development, because where the configuration is kind of have a boundary, that's where you start exploring the coding options. Because again, if something can be done via configuration, configuration is the first choice. But if the requirement is such that you cannot do via configuration, then again, then you can go to the code. So Salesforce is a combination of configuration and custom coding, meaning that if the client request is something that can be completed via configuration, that is the preferred way from Salesforce, that they are preferred to use configuration because there are a lot of advantages. I'm going to talk about it some other time. But then if there is a roadblock that you cannot do via configuration, or if it is like a complex business process, then of course you need a developer, and developer comes in and write a code in Salesforce. Salesforce coding is called Apex language. Again, if some of you have background in any of the basic programming language, then I would really recommend that once you get into the field, start working, the next logical step is to understand and start working in the coding. Again, we can talk about that in some other time, but right now, just to give you an idea, that formula can help you more on a configuration side. This is not a coding, right? I mean, just keep in mind, this is not a coding. This is just using a configuration, using built-in functionalities in order to do the like a formula type of thing. But again, if it is a very complicated formula, maybe you need to get the values from different objects and things like that. That's where you need to start coding, because configuration can do a limited type of activities. Once you are done with that, you need to move to coding part. All right, so that's we covered about the formula field. Cross-object formula is very simple. I'm not going to go into the detail. It's basically, I already showed you that you can get all the fields from the same formula. But when we say cross-object formula, it means that if you have a relationship, and you can test it out on your own, that let's say if you go to a relationship that you have in the offer. So when you go to the offer, which is child object, you can also able to access the fields from the parent object. And that is called cross object formula. Simple. Like you can get the access of the field from the same object and also the related object, most I mean, precisely like a parent object. And we have 4 more minutes of validation rule. I think I can also cover. It's a very straightforward thing. I can show you probably. So in the same object, for example, that we are working on, let's say, or we can pick up offer object. So if you go to the offer object, validation rule is something. I can put a rule and then I can show you. So validation is something, let's say you want, you don't want any property less than $100,000, right? That is your validation. Okay. Other validation rule examples could be your credit card digit should be 16. If it is less or more, remember you always get error message. If you miss the 3-digit code, you get error message. You forget to put 4-digit expiration code, you get error message. So all of those are called validation rule. So every field, if you want to put a validation, you can do that. So here we can take an example, and here we can say that if in the field, we can say that the offer amount, if it is less than operator, we can say, where's the less than, let's say $100,000, right? So our minimum requirement is 100,000. If it is any property less than 100,000, any offer less than 100,000, we don't need to entertain, or we don't need to add the record. Okay, quickly check the syntax. No errors found. And what is the error message you want to give? You want to say no offers less than 100K. Okay, whatever you want to say. Basically a free text field, and you save it. Okay, now let's go back and test it out. Offer, I want to give a new offer. $30,000 property. I can choose and try to save it. See, review, no offer less than 100,000. See that? All I did is basically go here, object manager, go to the object where I need to put the validation. It doesn't matter, it is a parent child, you can put validation anywhere. I go to the validation rule, which is at the very bottom. I can say go ahead and create a new validation rule, give a name, whatever you want. And then here you can put whatever conditions do you want. You can have more complicated condition, whatever you want. And then based on that, whatever the error message that you want to show, right? So you can show the error message again. You can use all of these different very complicated functionalities like date, time, geolocations. So that's where left align. So all of these are there. And again, you can get a detailed help on all of these over here. Once you go to the help option, you can able to get the details of each and every functionality, how you can use that. I showed you before as well. So you can use the functionality, you can put it, and this is how it will show up on the formula page if you put a lower value. Now, if I put the right value, which they're expecting, then it should not give me any error message. See, it just goes through it. Same thing if I change the value after the fact, even then it should give me an error message. See, even after the fact, I've created the account, I have a record created, I go back and edit it, and I want to put something which is not validated, not a valid value, it still give me the same error message. Okay, so I need to go back and fix it. All right, so pretty much it's noon now, so we are good. I think we have able to complete all the items that I thought I can complete it. So cross object, validation, roll up summary, we finished it. Lookup filter is something very simple. I can pick up in the next one. So quick recap is basically we now able to understand the data model, we understand the relationship, we understand the formulas, we understand the roll up summary fields. In the future, in the next session, I just need to go back and look up if we already created the second user. Can somebody confirm me if I already guide you how to create a second user, and if have we done that in the session one or not yet?
Not yet, I don't think so.
Okay, so no worries. So we'll start with creating a second user. I thought I have showed that in the first one, but if not, no worries. I can show you quickly how to create a second user, and then we can go through the field dependencies. It is still part of data model.
We did do one user setup other than our own selves, but other than like if you're talking about one more user, then we didn't do that, but we did create a user.
Yeah, that's it. We just have two users. One is admin, one is another user.
Oh.
If that is done, so that part is already done. That's what I remember. So everybody, by the end of the two, so you have one more week, make sure you have the second user. You can able to log in. You can able to see it. If you don't see some information, that's fine. I can show you in future, but at least you can able to log into your second user and everything else. So the only topic which is remaining, which is a very quick topic, is just the lookup filter and dependencies for the data modeling. And then we can right away jump into the security, where you will learn about profiles, permission sets, user level. So we will go into our next interesting high level topic, which is security. So the session 3 will be all about security. We'll probably able to finish these two in the first 10-15 minutes, and then rest of the session will be for security. So with that, let me just stop the recording.